Hi, and welcome to the FIPR tutorial on how to create a study. Before you start, please make sure you have an approved FIPR data submission account. Also, make sure you have your study protocol handy for reference, as it will streamline the completion of the fields in this process. The first step is to log into the system. Please note that I'm using a demonstration environment in order to show you this functionality. Then, enter your username and password. You will then need to navigate to the data repository. You can do so by selecting that icon or selecting the data repository in the top menu bar. You will then navigate to the menu and select Create Study. Now you will see the 5 sections that need to be completed in order to create your study. We'll go through each one, starting with the study overview. I've completed some sample information for the study overview section. Please use your protocol as a reference to accurately complete these fields. Recruitment status should accurately reflect the current stage of your study, as well as study type. You will note that any field that has the red asterisk is required and all other fields are optional. So in this case, I do not have a study URL to create this study. The clinical trial ID field is for those studies who are registered at clinicaltrials.gov. You enter your NCT number and click Add to the table. Please note that there is validation, so if you enter a clinical trial ID that has not been registered, you will not be able to add it to the table as shown. The next section, entitled Study Research Management, has the following fields to complete. For each individual associated with your research team, you'll provide their role on the study, their first name, middle initial, last name, suffix, email address, organization name, and a picture file. Please note you must select a primary principal investigator for each trial. You may also include other principal investigators or sub-investigators. However, each study is required to have a primary principal investigator indicated. Another important thing to bring to your attention is that the account that is creating the study within FIPR is automatically added to the research management table with the role of data manager. If that does not apply to your research study, you can remove that entry. However, it is set up for your convenience, as it is oftentimes the data manager that is completing this task. I've entered in some sample information for the primary principal investigator. Please also be sure to include a picture of the PI. When the fields are complete, select the Add to Table button. I'm going to remove the auto-filled entry. And again, please note, in order to create this study, you must have at least the primary PI entered, and you can add as many staff as is necessary for your research trial. Next, we have the study information section. I've entered in some sample information. Please note that it is required that you have at least the primary site added to the table. After you enter the information, select the green button. Next, you're asked to complete the start date, end date, estimated number of subjects, and your funding source. I've entered some sample data. In this case, my project would have started January 2017 and runs until January of 2020. We recommend using your grant period of performance range to enter this information. The estimated number of subjects will include both your control and your experimental subjects. And for primary funding source, please use this drop-down menu in order to complete this field. If you can't find your primary funding source, please select Other. In the grant ID table, you can include information about your grant number, which automatically, once you enter a grant or project ID, allows you to complete the grant project name and the grant project funder's name. However, that is not a required field, so I'm going to skip over it for this demonstration. Next, you have the study form structure section, which allows you to add FIPR form structures that you plan to submit against. Please note, it is not required that you have this list finalized at this time, and it can be edited after you create the study. I'm going to add the FIPR demographics standard form to my study, as it is a form that is required to be submitted against by all users, with plans to return here after working with FIPR operations to understand a little bit more about what forms I'm submitting against. Next, I can add keywords to my study in order to help other researchers search my study and understand the contents. In this example, I've added MTBI as a keyword, indicating I'm studying mild traumatic brain injury. Finally, I will attach the data submission documentation that was approved as part of the process of getting an account. Specifically, this should be the documentation for the PI of record for the study. Once I've attached that document, I will select Submit Request, and that's it. At this point, please email FIPR Operations to let them know you have created your study successfully, and we'll review the contents and approve the study in the system. Thanks so much for your time, and reach out if you have any questions.